Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final ended in dramatic fashion as the Florida Panthers put themselves on the board in this series by winning it in double overtime. Fans are excited to personally congratulate them for making history. No ECHL team has ever won 3 straight Kelly Cups, and that means we can have a party like this here tonight. You can see the floor is packed with fans. FGCU Athletic Director Colin Hargis feels the athletic department has already started to move past this, as the 3-week recruiting ban that was put on the men's tennis program happened back in January, and that there are no forward-facing penalties in this case. We recently reported on the city of Palms Park, which has sat vacant for many years in Fort Myers, collecting dust and your tax dollars for its maintenance. After a failed sell to the United Soccer League a year ago, one of the original bidders, Pitch Prime, is still interested in building the park for affordable family fun. The town square clock was removed before Milton, so it will make its way back eventually, but we just don't know when, but it was safely removed, so don't worry, the clock isn't going anywhere. Before Laley's game against Gulf Coast, that scoreboard reads 0-0. But that wasn't the case earlier this week. When I was out here for practice on Wednesday, that scoreboard said Sharks 50, Trojans 46. That was the score last year when Gulf Coast came back down 32-13 at halftime to beat Laley. Only one member of the Maurice family won the championship. That was Jake, the play-by-play announcer for the Florida Everblades. He won his 2nd straight Kelly Cup this summer. Now for his dad, Paul, the head coach of the Florida Panthers, he finally got his hands on the Stanley Cup. So let me check with the cheerleaders behind me. How excited are we for tonight? Safe to say the excitement level's pretty high. Darren, you guys have been practicing for weeks. How excited is your group to play somebody else tonight? We talked about the $300,000 a year for the damages that FGCU has to contribute. How is FGCU planning on addressing those funds?
Copperhead.
Miami Heat fans remember the moment in 2009 when Dwayne Wade recorded the game-winning steal and bucket against Chicago, jumped on the scorer's table, and declared, "This is my house." That moment is forever immortalized with this statue of the Heat legend. When you're in the car trying to figure out what podcast to listen to, there are seemingly endless options. In sports, many current and former athletes are using the platform to talk about their experiences. So while Xavier McLean is playing basketball at FGCU, he's sharing what that's like with his podcast.
And this is another episode of Tree Talk.
Playing here in Assembly Hall may be daunting to some, but not for the FGCU women's basketball team. They come into Indiana ready for the moment. They've been in this spot before, and they're ready to bust some brackets again. For Nico boys, it's hard to beat playing under the Friday night lights.
My whole life, I always thought, football's my thing. Like, this will always be my thing.
The former Barron Collier High School quarterback was hoping to make the most of his senior season, but Boyce learned early on,
Can't take anything for granted in the blink of an eye. I mean, your life can change forever or your life could be gone.
In Barron Collier's season opener against Immokalee, Boyce hurt his right leg.
Going into week 2, the practices going into the week 2 game against Naples, I just noticed it wasn't really feeling right, and it just kept building up more and more, getting worse and worse. But still, I didn't feel like I couldn't play that game.
He started the rivalry matchup with Naples, but Boyce noticed he couldn't sprint, and the swelling only got worse.
After the game, I was just in excruciating pain. Took a bunch of medication to try and relieve the pain. Nothing was working, so that's when we went into the ER and we found out it was compartment syndrome.
Boyce was rushed into surgery that night.
And when I woke up from that first surgery, the doctor and my parents ended up explaining to me that the rhabdomyolysis, which is the bad protein that can get in your blood, traveled to my kidneys, and yeah, it threatened my life.
Boyce needed a second surgery, and doctors told him he wouldn't play football again.
Felt very lost, not knowing what to do, just feeling like my life was over because, like I said, I've played football all my life.
After another surgery, Boyce went home, learning there's a chance he can play again. So Boyce talked with his parents about suiting up again.
My parents kind of just reminded me and put that reminder in the back of my head that, I've been playing all my life and, I've been working at this all my life to get to a certain destination, and I'm not there yet, so yeah, and I definitely want to be there.
That destination was to play in college.
I feel like I have a lot of people to prove wrong. Nothing against, coaches that have recruited me in the past or anything, but I feel like I've always been doubted in some way.
Boyce went to work. doing drills with his right leg wrapped or in a boot while on his scooter. He worked with his longtime trainer, Jackson Bazil.
You know, the lower body's not working right now, but let's go ahead and continue to work with the upper body so you could see, like, man, I still have some muscles basically to help you mentally as you stay active. Staying in bed doing nothing was not going to be good for me.
New Hampshire pulled their offer to Boyce after the injury, but his determination and recovery caught the attention of Anna Maria College in Massachusetts, and he was offered a football scholarship.
My confidence is through the roof now that I'm committed as well. It's very exciting to know that I get a second opportunity to, make something out of this sport.
A second chance at life and a second chance at football. Zach Oliveri, Wink Sports. FGCU athletics have been a constant on the national stage in recent years, especially in sports like women's basketball and volleyball, who are fixtures in their sports postseasons. But when it comes to Division I college athletics, the only constant is change. One of the most significant changes comes from the House v. NCAA settlement.
It's going to create a new dynamic for college athletics. It's going to create a new dynamic for Division I.
The settlement got preliminary approval last week. If finalized, the settlement forces the major conferences to pay $2.78 billion in damages to current and former student athletes and set up a revenue-sharing system that allows schools to distribute more than $20 million to student athletes starting next year. Is this an opportunity where the rich are just going to keep getting richer in college athletics with the settlement?
It could. It could. I think it's going to be really interesting when you look at college athletics at the highest level, right? When you talk about the Power Four conferences, the interesting dynamic for them when you talk about revenue sharing, when you talk about the House settlement payments, things of that nature, they're potentially staring down $20 to $30 million a year that they're going to have to generate. So the rich are definitely going to have an opportunity, right? The Power Four are definitely going to have an opportunity to generate and do more, but it's also going to cost them much more to operate at that highest level.
Colin Hargis is the athletic director at FGCU. Even though his department is not in a Power Four conference, they are still included in this settlement. Division I schools that don't have football will pay 12% of the damages.
The initial estimates that we've had from an ASUN perspective have been just shy of $300,000 a year. And again, those were the initial.
For how long?
For 10 years.
That's an estimated total of $3 million. How does that factor into the athletic budget for FGCU?
Yeah, we have to plan for it, and it's unfortunate. In a perfect world, we wouldn't be part of that, right? We wouldn't have to pay the debt of others, essentially. But on the other side of that, if and when the settlement goes through, what we look at holistically, right, in conversations with my peers and conversations with the conference office, the settlement will provide stability, a little bit of stability for us on a national landscape, right, from an FGCU Division I athletic department perspective. It can provide us a little bit of stability for the next decade.
Welcome Carson Schaefer back to Fort Myers.
A warm welcome back for Karsten Schaefer, checking into his first high school basketball game in 2 years.
I've been waiting for this moment since freshman year, and like everything I've done from relearning how to walk to doing everything is leading up to here.
Basketball is Karsten's love, but his love was taken from him when doctors discovered a tumor breaking down his vertebrae.
It was getting ripped away from me, and they said they didn't think I'd ever compete at the high level.
But Karsten was determined to get back on the floor with his teammates at Fort Myers High.
The second I got cleared, put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and three workouts a day.
There was just those moments where he knew that I've overcome putting on my own shoes. I put on my own socks. Now I'm shooting. Now I'm here. And just those moments of achievement that he's been able to do over this process of the last year has been even inspiring for me to be like, there's not much I can't do if my son can do this.
Going into the game, Karsten got the green light from his coach.
Go out there, play free, let it fly, and have fun. Just live in the moment.
And that's what Karsten did, letting the threes fly. Hitting 5 threes on the night, but nothing tops that first one going in.
First I was like, finally. But once it went in, I was like, thank you, God. Thank you for everything you were able to push me through and everything I went through. And it was just like all my hard work paid off for that moment.
Emma, whenever you get Dunbar and Naples together under the Friday night lights, you can always expect it to go down to the wire, and tonight was no exception, as our Wink News Game of the Week brings us another instant classic between these two rivals. We pick it up in the second half, Naples up 7-0, but Toledo commit Sean Simeon does what Sean Simeon does, and that's rip off long touchdown runs like this one. 75 yards to make it a one-play drive for the Golden Eagles. That makes it 14-0 Naples. But with Dunbar, we've seen it before. They have the eye of the tiger and will fight to the very end. This score makes it 14-6, and then quarterback Austin Price will roll out, and then he will send a bomb 41 yards down the field to Traveris Schlee in the end zone. That heroic play, plus the two-point conversion, ties this game up at 14 with 10:19 left in the fourth quarter. Then with 52 seconds left in this one, Naples lines up for a field goal to take the lead, but it's no good. We're going to overtime. First play of overtime, it's Simeon finding the end zone again. That makes it 21-14. Dunbar responds with Tylen Gore taking the handoff and crossing the goal line. Dunbar head coach Sam Brown sends his offense back on the field. He's going for the win right now, but Price's pass is out of reach. Naples gets revenge in thrilling overtime fashion, 21-20. Now we head down to the Lions Den as First Baptist hosts Bishop Verot. Now a penalty took away a touchdown from Carter Smith earlier in the night, but not this time. The Michigan commit scores on the QB keeper. That makes it 7-0 Verot. Then on the ensuing drive for First Baptist, it's running back Sam Sparacio picking up right where he left off last week. When he scored 3 touchdowns, this is his first on a 30-yard rushing score. That ties it up at 7 with 2:59 left in the first. Fast forward now, it's Sparacio on a fake punt, going into the bag of tricks for the Lions. He'll get the first down, but it's Bishop Verot picking up the win in this one, 34-28. Here come the Gators as the Island Coast Gators welcome the Cape Coral Seahawks in this clash in the Cape. The Seahawks get on the board first with Darian Thomas going untouched on the handoff as he dashes into the end zone for the score. That makes it 7-0 Cape with 5:38 left in the first quarter. Then after an Island Coast fumble, Cape Coral capitalizes. On third down, it's Jermaine Skinner this time rushing past the Gator defenders. And despite Roberto Resende's efforts, Skinner won't be denied. 14-0 Cape Coral after the first quarter. In the second, Gators knocking on the door of the end zone, and it's Gervarius Leaphart taking the direct snap, and he slips and slides his way for the score, making it a one-possession game. That's worthy of a dance celebration. 14-6 Cape Coral. Fast forward now, Cape Coral is up 21-6. Gators quarterback Dominic Rizzardo rolls out, sends it down the field, and the next time we see the ball, it's in the hands of Kansas commit Darian Jones, who makes the pick. Cape Coral wins this one, 41-14. For a lot of victory rats on the ice last night in Sunrise as the road to redemption continues for the Florida Panthers. The Panthers are advancing to their second straight Stanley Cup final after defeating the New York Rangers in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Now notice none of those players are touching that Eastern Conference Championship trophy because that's bad luck. They have another trophy to get, the Stanley Cup. They fell short in the final just 1 year ago. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final is scheduled for June 8th.